morning we have a terrific lineup. Joe Stanislaw is someone who we're going to bring up who really has been a key figurehead in the energy industry. Joe, as many of you know, has been the founder and CEO of CERA. I think many of you here have been to the CERA Week, which in so many ways is a role model for this conference in bringing together the who's who of our industry. Joe has just a fantastic background, but one of the things he's doing now is he's actually the owner of the Festival Network, and it's the largest owner of festivals and high-end music festivals around the world, doing jazz and folk. And Joe's an incredibly interesting guy. I'm going to bring him up to introduce our esteemed speakers. Joe Stanislaw.
I'm going to start off very differently with you. I'm going to ask you a few questions and explain why I'm excited to be here. How many of you in this room are under 40? Under 40. Wow. How many are under 35? Even a bigger wow. This is why this group's so exciting. If we were at CERA Week next week, there wouldn't be many hands like that up in the air. This is a new generation that's taking place around us. How many of you have ever heard the name E.F. Schumacher? Not many hands. You hear Small is Beautiful? How many have read the book Small is Beautiful? This group, if you haven't read it, you better read it. Who knows the name Kenneth Boulding? Kenneth Boulding, a few people. You should read Kenneth Boulding's books if you're in this room. Who knows the name Buckminster Fuller? That's even better. Read the other two, because Buckminster Fuller, Kenneth Boulding, and E.F. Schumacher created the intellectual framework for the world you're now living in. These men wrote about the world you're now driving in the 1960s and 70s, but they were in the wilderness. All the ideas they had, there was no technology to fulfill their dreams. And their dreams were about technology, appropriate technology, a new view of democracy and community participation, but the technology enablers weren't there. It was a wilderness land. That wilderness land is now almost a promised land, if I talk to all of you and listen to all of you yesterday and probably more today. And this is why I'm so excited to be here. I was very involved with CERA, as you all know. We sold it 4 years ago. And I left CERA, and I created a new vision for myself in my own new company. And my vision was to use my relationships, my knowledge with what I'm going to call, pardon me, Jim and Jeff, the legacy industries, to create a bridge to tomorrow's world, the new world of new technologies, new world of demand, new world of economics. That bridge, though, is the legacy industries. You cannot get to tomorrow without the legacy industries. And that's why it's so exciting to be here to hear yesterday's conversation and then to hear today's conversation when the old world, which I'm calling myself, Jim Rogers, and Jeff Sterba, coming to the new world, the new promised land. But the promised land can't reach its mission without that old world. That's the bridge we have to have. So I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to be being able to moderate a discussion between the two gentlemen we have. We have Jeff Sterba, who's CEO of PNM Resources, and Jim Rogers, who's CEO of Duke Energy. They are respectively the current and the former chairman of the EEI. And these two men, although from a legacy industry, have been probably the most outspoken proponents of change in the world in which we're living, in the world of climate change and all those issues of anyone in the industry in the United States. So it's an honor to start with Jeff Sterba, then we'll move on to Jim Rogers. Jeff, I turn to you.
As I said, both Jim and I have been in this industry a long time. And one of the things that I think I certainly believe is that we always find challenges in this industry. But I'm not sure I've ever seen a time when there are more challenges than exist today. And that's what makes it fun. That's what creates opportunities. And something that really makes it engaging. Let me spend a minute talking about what are these major challenges that are kind of shaping the industry today and that the industry has to confront. The first is a growing demand. And you go, well, what's causing this? Well, it isn't just population, obviously. Now, I know that there's younger people in this audience than frequently what I have when I speak, but I'd ask you to think about the home that you grew up in, particularly if you're over 40. Think about the home that you grew up in, or homes. Think about their size. Think about the height of ceilings. Now think about the home that you live in today. On average, in the United States, homes have grown about 30% in the last 20 years. And that's in square footage. When you make it cubic footage, which is what you heat and cool, it's even more dramatic, closer to 50%. Then think about what's in those homes. And no, you don't have to go back to the black and white TV, but think about what's in your home today. I may just use one example. How many of you all have a set-top box on a TV, whether it be a cable or a satellite hookup? That's a lot. How many of you all dutifully turn the thing off when you're finished watching the news or sports or Charmed, whatever it is that turns your crank? How many of you dutifully turn it off? Okay, and you know that when you turn it off, you turned it off, right? No. It's still consuming 95% of the energy that it did when it was on. Because the only thing you turned off is the little LED light. That's it. In fact, when those things were first developed, they didn't even have a light on them. And the marketer said, well, people want to turn it off. You got to put something on there so they know they turned it off. Consumes 95% of the energy that it does when it's on. One of the other things about our industry is that it's a very complex technical industry. And we have done an awful lot to move up to date digital control systems. But guess what? Those digital control systems control mechanical devices that would make Thomas Alva Edison proud. He could probably do maintenance on a lot of the equipment that's still in the electric systems. We've got to spend as an industry a tremendous amount of money to keep up with growth and to modernize the industry, to modernize the grid, to modernize generation, et cetera. In fact, put it in perspective, we're expected by 2020, so the next 13 years, to spend somewhere between $750 and $850 billion modernizing the system in generation, transmission, distribution. Put that in perspective, that's equal to the amount of investment in the industry in total today. So within 13 years, we're going to double the amount of investment that has ever been made in the industry. And we're doing it in a period when we're facing enormous cost increases. If you think about what we use to build things, there are 5 things that we use the most of: steel, aluminum, concrete, cement, copper, and gasoline. Gasoline to get stuff to where you're going to build it. Those are the 5 things we've used. In the last 4 years, those commodities have gone up anywhere between 48% and 380% in 4 years. So the cost of this build is becoming much more significant. Now look at the macro side about energy prices. We've all seen them go up. Nationally, electric prices have moved up 30% in the last 5 years. 30%. That's almost totally been caused by increases in fuel prices. Natural gas, coal, et cetera. 30%. None of it has started really to build in this new modernization and build out. That will be the second bump. And both of those may be overshadowed by the bump that can be caused by approaching climate change in a wrong-headed way. And I'll come back and talk a little bit more about that. But I think the most interesting thing is how customer expectations of us and our products are changing. Think about reliability. It used to be that reliability for a customer meant, are the lights on? When did they go off and how long are they going to be off? Then about 10 years ago or so, 15 years ago, it changed to, oh, wait a minute. Why is my digital alarm clock blinking when I come home and I got to reset the damn thing? In the last 10 years, it has become more about digital manufacturing equipment that can be disturbed and thrown offline by a voltage disturbance that lasts less than 1/10 of a second. So the whole concept of reliability has changed.